After you're done with the ed puzzle, then you're going to come to the second video in this assignment, and you're going to fill in section 1 of the tech safety notes. There are 7 parts of the tech safety notes, so this is part 1. And in this part, we're going to talk about personal internet safety and protecting you and your information while you're using the internet and your devices. So that's what this video is going to talk about now. So please make sure you don't start this step until you finish the ed puzzle first. Okay. Okay, so for this one, please open the tech safety notes for section 1, which are in Google Classroom. So if you go to Google Classroom, you will see that there is a section here for section 7 called Tech Safety Unit, and there should be a Tech Safety Notes section 1 here. In these notes, you will see there's some blanks in here. Some stuff is filled in, some stuff is not. In the notes, in the slideshow I'm going to go back to in a second, all the blanks are going to be blue, okay? So, and if you are missing something, it's okay to ask a friend, but I want you to watch the video, follow me, listen to me, and then fill in the blanks as best you can, okay? So that's the goal for today. Sorry, I'm coughing. My allergies stink right now. So the first thing is, why do we have to worry about tech safety, especially after listening to Miko Hypanen on the Ed Puzzle? So the biggest reason we have to worry about tech safety is because of identity theft, which is the first blank in your notes. Identity theft is basically people stealing your information to spend money as you, but you don't receive the stuff. And why is that bad for us as a society is because we all end up paying more for goods and services because of money lost to businesses that they lose to online theft and fraud. It's the biggest crime in the world today. So that's why this is a really important topic. In fact, if you ask your parents or other teachers about it, they will probably tell you it's happened to them, or they know somebody identity theft has happened to. I know it's happened to me twice, and I've had a cousin that it's happened to, and it's a huge issue. Okay, so identity theft is that first blank. The next part of the notes is talking about private information. And private information is information about yourself that you don't share with other people unless you absolutely have to. This is information you share as a need to know basis only. So like if you're filling out a job application, a college application, this is not information that you're going to post to social media on your Instagram page or Snapchat page or a website. So for instance, so this is the blank here, need to know basis only. This is like your super secret information about yourself. So examples of private information include, and in your notes, you only have to write down 3 of these, okay? So this includes your full name. So I just don't need, like for instance, I'm Sally Garza, but you don't need to know my middle name. You don't need to know like if I'm a junior or a senior or the 4th. You don't need to know all that stuff. You just know my first name and my last name. The postal address is the place where you actually live. So your full address. No one needs to know that online on your Snapchat page. Your email address. And what I mean by that is you don't want to post your email address into too many public places online because you're going to be the target of a lot of spam and phishing attacks. Same thing with your phone number. You don't want to post your phone number in places, not only because of spam and phishing attacks, but for another reason we're going to talk about in a second. Passwords, again, are super private. You don't share those with anybody. For you guys, because you're still students, I know your school passwords. And it's okay for your mom or dad to know your passwords, or even your grandma if you live with your grandma. But you don't share those with your best friend or boyfriend or girlfriend, because guess what? You might get in a fight one day and you don't want to give them ammunition to hurt you. Your credit card numbers you don't want to share with other people. Again, need to know basis only. If you're buying something and you need to like put it into a website, that's fine. Social security number, that is your okay, your social security number is your official United States ID number for tax purposes. This is a super secret number that you don't share with other people. And in fact, most job applications, they do require that, but even colleges don't ask for it anymore. We don't ask for it as a school. Only for certain medical stuff, that kind of stuff you share it with, but you do not put, that's a super, super secret number. That you get when you're adopted or when you're born and your parents apply for a social security number on your behalf. And another one is your mother's maiden name. And this is your mother's original last name before she got married, if she changed her name. Some women aren't doing that these days. So, for instance, if I got married to Thor Odinson, my maiden name would be Garza because that was the last name I was born with. And even if I do become, Sally Odinson someday, Garza will always still be my maiden name. The reason you don't share that with other people online is because it is the number one security question asked by credit card companies. So that only you would know the answer to that, not like some random person on the street. So just again, remember you need 3 of these, but these are examples of private information. Now, another type of information about yourself is personal information. And this is not super secret information. This is information about yourself that is always okay to share with somebody online, on Snapchat, on your profile, on Snapchat, on Instagram, on a profile page, on a website. These are things about you that people could figure out if they're meeting you in person. So, are you short? Are you tall? Do you have brown hair? Do you have blonde hair? How old are you, approximately? Like, even like what color is your skin or your ethnicity. Those are things that if you're comfortable with it, you're okay to share with those online. Should you ask other people for this information? Not necessarily, unless they're willing to share that. But this is stuff, again, they could figure out by talking to you. So some examples of personal information are your age, whether you're male or female, or if you identify differently. How many brothers, you can talk about your brothers and sisters, your favorite bands, your favorite foods, your pets, how many pets you have, what kind of pets, the name of your pets, and your opinions. And it could be other things that you love. Like, me, I like to talk about Thor often. And I do online, but I also talk about books and I talk about movies I like. I talk about my favorite band, Pearl Jam. Those are all things people could figure out quickly if they met me in person. So these are things that are okay to talk about in an online space. And just like the last one, you only have to write down 3 in your notes. So identity theft. This is the definition of identity theft. This is when somebody uses your private information, not your personal information, your private information, like your name, social security number, credit card information, your date of birth, without your permission to commit fraud or other crimes. So they're pretending to be you, to use your credit or to set up credit in your name and buy stuff online. And this could happen to you guys, even though like you're still kids still, like are teenagers. Technically, you're not allowed to open a credit card in your own name until you're 18 by contract laws. But even though you're under 18, somebody could steal this information from you and set up a credit card in your name, and you won't know about this for years, which is the scary part. So yeah, this is the biggest crime in the world today, and it's a big, big issue. Okay, that's why things are so expensive. One of the reasons. So we're going to watch this short video about password safety.
How do you choose a good password and why is it important? In this video, we'll take a look at why strong passwords are so vital to protecting yourself against hackers and identity theft, and how to choose a secure password for your accounts. With more and more business transactions taking place online, such as banking, billing, and shopping, more sensitive and personal information is on the web than ever before. It's common for thieves and hackers to attempt to break into computer systems and steal information by trying to guess people's passwords. When they succeed, it's usually because people choose poor passwords like password or administrator. Intruders can also conduct what are known as dictionary attacks against a password database, which automatically test tens of thousands of potential passwords per second. And this is why basic words and simple variations of words are not good passwords. So it's obvious why it's important to be able to choose a good password, but you might not know how to do it. So now let's go through 4 good rules to follow when creating a new password. First off, try to mix letters and numbers and symbols and use both uppercase and lowercase letters. By doing so, you're making a more complex password. And also make sure that that password is more than 6 characters long, because anything less can be cracked easily by brute force password guessing software. And in general, the longer the password that you make, the better and the more difficult to figure out. Number 2, don't use the same password for all your accounts. If a hacker finds out your password, they could then use it for multiple accounts and have access to a wide variety of sensitive information. At the very least, make 1 or more passwords for your highly valuable information, such as your online banking, and 1 for everything else, such as your email accounts. Third, don't use names, words, or numbers that have a personal connection to you. It's not a good idea to use your name, your spouse's or child's name, or a street address or phone number, or any other information that a hacker could easily discover about you by searching on the internet. And finally, never share your password with anyone. It doesn't matter how much you trust somebody, it's dangerous to be sharing via email, text, or any other way that you might send that password out. If your password does get into the wrong hands, it can cause major damage to your personal information and accounts. So if you're still a little bit frustrated and you need some help coming up with something to use for a password, here's a suggestion. First, make up a sentence you can easily remember, such as, I have 2 kids, Jake is 4, and Amy is 2. Now take the first letter of every word in the sentence and include the punctuation from that sentence to increase the complexity of the password. And in the end, you'll end up with something that looks like IHTK colon JI 4A AI2 period. Now that's a hard password to crack, but for you, it should be fairly easy to remember. Choosing a good password is extremely important, but it's just the first step in making sure that your data is secure. If you're a business person in your
Okay. So that's all really good advice in that video. So let's go through some of the major things that we pulled from there. You want to make sure you're a strong password that has 8 or more characters. Why 8? Because that is the minimum number of characters that Google requires. So what we recommend, like for our teachers and staff here at Lawrence, that they have to have 10 or more characters. For our tech staff, they have to be 15 or more characters. So my current password for my computer is 22 characters long, and it's pretty hard. And I purposely will misspell words and use my dyslexia for good to make it even harder. Use a combination of letters, numbers, and characters and symbols in your password. Use a combination of upper and lowercase letters, so capital letters and small letters. Don't use obvious sequences of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or A, B, C, D. Don't use repeated characters like 333, 999, or NNN, AA. Those are easier to guess. Don't use private or personal information in your password, especially stuff that people could guess. So, like, I will never use Thor or Pearl Jam in my passwords because that would be the first guess that most people would make. And don't use your date of birth or your street address or even your license plate, because those are, again, easier for people to guess. And use different passwords for different types of accounts. So it's okay to have all your school passwords to be the same, but maybe for your personal stuff, it'll be a different password. And anything involving money, it'll be an even harder password. And that's what I usually have about 5 or 6 passwords I use for different types of accounts. So here's some examples. So here are some good examples. So what I did for these is I took some hard vocabulary words and I replaced some of the letters with capital letters, symbols, numbers. So this is the word abysmal, and I replaced some of the letters in there. This is the word dichotomy, and I even flipped the W or the M to a W. This is millennium. And this one is funny, it's a phrase, it's beaver fever. But again, unless you knew what it was, it's harder to guess those. These are examples of bad passwords. They're too easy, they use repeated characters, easy words, obvious information. Again, too easy to guess, and repeated characters are obvious sequences. So again, you want to be closer to these type of passwords than these type of passwords. Other password safety tips: don't write down your passwords on a piece of paper and put it right on your computer like on a Post-it note. It's okay to write down and keep a list of your passwords, but keep them somewhere away from your computer, or if we're going to keep them digitally, we're going to talk about that in a second. Never share passwords with other people unless it's your mother or Miss Garza. Don't use the same password for all your accounts. Have different types of passwords. Use the password function, keypad function on your phone, because that's an easy way for people to hack into your phone. Is you didn't put any protection on it. Put a pattern, put a face, recognition, do something. Don't use private or personal information in your password. Again, too easy to guess. Don't let people look at your keyboard when you are typing your password. It is perfectly okay to say, hey, could you turn your head while I type in my password? And that's okay too if you're typing a PIN at the bank for your ATM card or anything like that. It's okay to keep a digital list of your passwords. You could keep it on your phone. You could keep it in Google Keep. You could keep it in notes on iPhones. You could keep it in a Word document or a Google Doc. However, the rule for this is you can't use the word login or password or username or anything like that anywhere in the document or the file name. Because if you get certain types of spyware on your computer, it's going to look for those words. And you're just giving them the keys to the kingdom by doing that. So don't use those words. And I'll show you an example in a second. The name of the document itself should be something innocent that you know what it is, but no one else could guess what it is. Like something like Tyler Treasures or Jane Codes or blah, blah, John. I actually have mine a really crazy name. But what I did is I have a fake example for you. These are not my real passwords, but this is kind of how I set up this document. So I called this one my hush hush stuff. This is my fake hush hush stuff. And in here I have, like, this is my master list. It's 9 pages long, super small font. But I have, like, everyone, like my login information, and then I have the password. My passwords are not really blah, blah, 99 for anything, but that's what I changed them all in here too. So for each of these, I would put the service, the username, and then a few spaces or a slash, and then the password. I don't put really anything else unless I really need to know it. And that's just pretty much what I did for everything in here. And it's an easy way. It doesn't have to be sorted anyway, because I could just Control F and look for the name of the service, and it just makes it super easy. So if you're going to keep a digital list, that's okay, but don't make it obviously that it's your passwords. There's also online identity. Online identity is how you present yourself online. And it's basically, it could be a combination of things. It's what's in your profile about yourself. It's the images that you're using to represent yourself. Sometimes the pictures are called your avatar. And the problem with that is, first of all, you can make yourself look better. You could Photoshop your pictures. You could like use filters, but you could also use a totally not you picture, which is good or bad, because and we're going to talk about this later. But people use that to catfish people. Catfishing is basically lying about who you are to try to commit a fraud for somebody. Your avatar are images online for your online accounts that represent you, but again, may or may not use your real pictures of yourself. I usually use pictures of myself because I like to stay honest, even digitally. Your online identity is how you represent yourself online. And you do that through your avatar, but it could also be what kind of personality do you have in this service? How can you be physically different than real life? So for instance, my avatar, my online identity for a Guitar Hero. I'm like a very tall girl, with kind of Japan looks and Japanese schoolgirl looks, and I like to kick a lot, which I don't do any of those things in real life. You could be a different age online, which I know a lot of you guys might be lying to make yourself older. Other people might be lying to make themselves younger. I don't do that either. You could also help level the playing field versus real life, because maybe you could be different and more outgoing online and more confident online than you are in real life. However, the flip side of that is people could also use to deceive you, which is catfishing. So you do have to be cautious about online identity. Offline identity is also known as real life. Um, So, guys, I would like you to turn in these notes when you're done. Do not turn them in until you're totally done with the notes. If you have a few blanks here and there, that's okay. We're going to review them really quickly on Thursday before we move on to the next unit or next activity, okay? So, what is due today or by Thursday morning? You have to have section 1 of the notes done, and you also have to have the Ed puzzle done from about Nico Hypenen. Okay? Have fun.